1360 KKTX. Corpus Christi Police Chief Floyd Simpson in the box with City Councilman Mark Scott. We'll talk about the July 4th numbers coming up. And with your sports, here's Brother Dave Evans.
Good morning, guys. Well, you can put the brooms back in the closet because the Hooks are finished sweeping the homestand. Jonathan Myers' two-out single scored Ruben Sosa from third base to push Corpus past Tulsa 6-5 last night at Whataburger Field. The Hooks, who have won 6 games in the homestand, are 10-8 in the Texas League's second half action and trail only our nemesis, San Antonio, by 1 game for first. In the majors, John Singleton's 3-run homer helped the Houston Astros take a 12-7 victory over the Texas Rangers in the opener of a 3-game set. The Mariners sank the Twins 2-0, and the A's continued the theme by blanking the Giants 5-0, while the Angels defeated the Blue Jays 5-2. And the big and tall league, Chris Bosh is seriously considering the Houston Rockets' maximum offer of 4 years, $88 million. Bosh opted out of the final 2 years of his contract, worth $42 million with the Miami Heat, but he might wait for LeBron James to make his choice first. And finally, Jim, in the Concussion League, a federal judge has granted approval of a settlement between the NFL and the former players who sued the league over concussions. The deal will provide unlimited funds to retired players and their families that the players suffer from an illness brought on by concussions. Jim, that's your sports update.
All right, and still people unhappy about Dallas's signing of the guy who quits. Yeah, McClain. Yeah,
the guy that quits. That's pretty much in a nutshell what this guy does. I think he's got some off-field issues. What a shock.
How is it a lot of these guys have off-field issues? They just don't have enough to do in their
because they don't have a coach following them around, off the field all
Telling
the time.
Them what to do?
Yeah. On the field, they've got, it's pretty much dictatorship, but off the field, no.
And Johnny Manziel's got more problems with his Las Vegas antics.
We were literally talking about this weekend because my bike riding buddy's an Aggie, and he goes, interesting, I haven't heard anything about Manziel this weekend. He somebody must have got to him and told his friends to turn off their cell phones. So what happened now?
No. Jim, I don't know.
More Vegas goof. Let me hold.
And you shouldn't do that. That's wrong, right?
Yeah, supposedly he's in a bathroom with some tightly rolled up dollar bills.
Oh,
so you think bathroom, nightclub, Vegas? Why would you tightly roll up dollar bills to do what?
To see through the people. I don't know.
Yeah, I never had enough bills to roll up tightly. I don't know what that means.
Now the speculation begins, right? Everybody knows,
Wow, that's okay. That's breaking news for me right there.
Somebody took a picture of it?
It means one thing to me. It's either cocaine or meth.
Yeah. Sure.
Snorting it. All right, there's a Yankees fan that's suing ESPN for $10 million because they showed him sleeping in the fourth inning.
Yes.
Pain and suffering.
And there's no doubt that he was sleeping.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you see the video, go to the video. Yeah. He's out.
And it looks like he probably had
a little beer or two.
Well,
that's 6 or 7 hot dogs, some cotton candy, and I don't know. 6
he was just missing the lazy boy chair. That was the only thing that he was missing.
He's a big guy.
Yeah. And it wasn't a flattering picture or video of him.
Well,
really was.
It's not like they drugged him and made him go to sleep, slobbering on himself.
Well, and here's the deal about going to professional sporting events. Either if you're a beautiful woman or a man in a poor-looking situation, you're going to get on the video. So you live your whole life trying to be in the middle. Yeah. I don't want to be the guy who's sprawled out over the chair. So that's the life lesson for that guy.
Look, if there was ever a lesson in we, as a collective, have just lost our ability to reason things out. Okay, I'm asleep. I probably drank too much. Whatever.
Ate too many dogs.
Right.
Whatever. Right.
And now I'm going to sue.
Thank you.
Hey, if
that's
that works,
mindset.
Let me know, because I was at an Astros game in like 1984, and I was on the big screen, and I still am traumatized by that, because I looked up the big screen like, God, man, that guy's had way too much. Oh my gosh,
that's
me.
Of the Astros folly.
I just found the seat. So if it works, I'm suing.
$10 million.
That's a lot of money. Well, Jim, the last thing I would say is thank you. for taking one for the team.
Sure.
And if anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, please go to his website and you'll see what I'm talking about.
We posted the picture of my knee yesterday. Thursday, I went out. I was getting some background on some of our new players. I was standing on the field between second and third base, and
Ouch.
I was looking. I was looking at Bodie, and all of a sudden I hear "look out," and Bodie shoves me into a line drive.
That's your friend.
Yeah, that's your friend.
Telvin Nash just hit a scorcher. It hit me right in the knee.
Listen, when Telvin Nash hits it, it's a home run.
Yeah.
That's all. He strikes out or it's a home run. So.
But here's the thing. The Hooks have won every game since then.
Oh.
And the batting average for the team has gone up. So they were kidding me. Would you come back out?
And literally take one for the team.
And let us shoot at that other knee.
Yeah.
I said, sure.
I say put it on the pole. Let's vote on it.
I can't. Bodie was just apologizing all over himself. I said, are you kidding me? I would have paid Nash to do that. Now I've got a Whataburger Field story.
Hey, Chief, look at the picture. You can literally see the stitches on the baseball.
I just saw it. That's what you call a hot shot.
Yes, sir.
All right, Dave, thanks.
You bet, buddy.
560-5589, 560-KKTX. We just concluded a big 4th of July weekend. Those of you who were on Shoreline Ocean Drive, it was absolutely as crowded as I've seen it.
Busy time for us. I was hoping not to get a call to come out. I was very fortunate that that didn't happen and nobody got seriously hurt or killed or anything like that. But huge weekend for the city and a huge weekend for us with regard to trying to keep people safe, And so I think it worked out well.
Well, what about the traffic movement?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, particularly when you talk about down for the Big Bang fireworks show, you had the game going on, you had stuff going on all over.
Was there anything
downtown.
going on in American Bank Center? I forgot to look when I went by there.
I don't think anything was going on at the Bank Center.
But the Art Museum had something. The Museum of Science History, I think, had a watching event.
Yeah,
we were down there. It was bad.
Yeah, it was crowded. So we brought in an additional 35 officers, and part of that was making sure that traffic moved along as well as it possibly could.
Every time we do that, put officers in intersections.
Yes,
that thing, it just really
flows better.
Yes,
yeah,
it does. It keeps people from crossing and blocking and then you got to catch it early because you don't lose it. Blocking the intersection.
Once you lose it, it's tough to get back, and so that's our objective: not to allow people to kind of do things the way that they want it done. If we can keep it orderly, we'll get them out. And I've always said, and our people believe it, the worst thing that could happen is that the last thing you remember about an event that was perfectly well run and put on really, really well, that you get caught up in traffic and you're stuck there forever. And you remember that more so than the actual event. So.
Well, I was going to a Hooks game back in the 1st of June, I guess. That's wasn't that when the graduation ceremonies were taking place?
Yes.
All right. And I got on one of those cross streets.
Yeah.
And I couldn't go anyplace because everybody going to the American Bank Center, they would not stop where they were supposed to stop. They parked in the middle of, and I just had to sit there at the stop sign. I went, holy mackerel.
Frustrating. Yeah.
Let me turn around and go home.
Yeah.
So I did. So the numbers for we have numbers on this. Did we like for the parade? There it was a really a big crowd.
There's a big crowd for the parade. I got an email that the Hooks set a record attendance.
Yeah, they did
that night.
Most ever in that stadium. And then that surpasses when Roger Clemens.
I know.
Was
I was thinking because I was at Roger, and I didn't think you could put another person in there.
You couldn't in the concourses.
Yeah, it's like it 3-5 deep.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
and you had a lot of people there with baby strollers.
Yeah,
it was almost like spring training.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so nice. So we doubled our numbers, unfortunately, with arrests, particularly DWI arrests.
Oh, we did.
We arrested 28 people. From We'll look usually from Thursday around 6 p.m. and run it through the weekend.
Is Channel 10 not doing the drunk drivers thing anymore?
I think they still are. I talked to Bart. He said that, the court stuff you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I think they still are doing it.
Okay.
It was Bart's baby, so.
It was on, they used to do that on Friday night.
Yeah. Right? And they still do, from what I understood. But I think Bart just did it in a very particular way. So I don't know if it's the same presentation as it was.
Probably not.
Yeah. And so firework calls, we wrote 42 tickets for fireworks. And those had to be kind of egregious cases because typically we'll say, hey, you can't do that. And
egregious,
let it be done.
You mean either their house was burned down?
Well, either people were told once but didn't stop, or they, got serious complaints from neighbors.
Well, here's what I found fascinating about that. There was a fireworks thing on the island.
On the island, had
yes.
two.
Yeah. Where but it looked like there were two fires.
Yeah.
An island
got island.
caught on fire.
Yes.
And I thought the reaction from the people was really different because they were talking about, oh, gosh, it's uninhabited, and, that was just so. We were watching it, and I thought, that's a good idea. Or, I could just hear some of the eco folks.
That's what I was with the guy at lunch yesterday, and he was on a boat watching the parade, and watching the fireworks. He said, man, if there's any kind of major storm event, the erosion on the spoil island is going to be significant because all the habitation.
All the vegetation.
And he said those flames were 15, 20 feet tall.
Because the fire department couldn't get to them. Mm-hmm. All right. Charles, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Chief, just a quick question.
Yes.
There was an officer involved shooting. From what I understand, it's an off-duty police officer that fired at a dog.
When was that?
July 4th.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't heard on that one, but go ahead.
Well, I'm just wondering what's going to happen. Quite frankly, it's good to live in daylight out of.
Well,
It scared you? Why?
Yeah. I was 3 feet in front of the officer when he fired his weapon at my dog.
Oh, well, you could have started with that, and we wouldn't be.
Yeah, so I don't know what the circumstances were.
I'm sorry. I just got a little upset because, quite frankly, it just shocked me more than scared me. I couldn't believe that this fella was pulling a firearm and trying to shoot it at Jack Russell.
So what happened?
Well, he missed, thank God.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that one.
Pardon me?
I haven't heard anything about that one.
Yeah. Well, I would appreciate it, Chief, if you check into that. Because, quite frankly, if it had been me, if I had fired on somebody's dog, I'd be in jail today.
Right.
And
it depends on the circumstances.
I understand that.
When you say that, I don't know what the circumstances are, and you hadn't told me.
Right, he was walking his dog, who happens to be like a big husky, 100-pound dog, against the Jack Russell.
Well, wait a minute. We're getting more. So your dogs were in a dog fight?
Well, quite frankly, what happened is July 4th, I was with some neighbors. I went inside.
Couldn't you have started? Oh, wait, hold on a minute. All right.
Yeah.
You could have started with this information. You just hold on, because I'm out of time in this segment. News Radio 1360 KKTX. All right, I got Charles on the KKTX hotline talking to Chief Floyd Simpson. All right, Charles, forgive me, but we were at the end of a segment, and you kept adding things to this.
My apologies.
You were acting on the assumption that, I don't know, it was a news story and everybody knew all about it. So why don't you start at the beginning?
Okay. July 4th, neighbors invited me. I went inside. I have two dogs. One's a 30-pound collie mix, and one's a little 10-pound Jack Russell. I opened the door a little bit too long because I was talking to the neighbor, and they both bolted out. They ran out into like a little area right behind my apartment complex, or right behind the apartment. And I hadn't noticed anybody was there. All of a sudden, I heard some growling. So I run out there to go grab my dogs. This gentleman's standing there with this big old brown, husky-looking animal. That's got to be at least a 100-pound dog. And he's saying, "Get your dogs away from my dog." And I said, "Yes, sir, let me do it right now." And as I'm grabbing him, I'm running closer. I'm no more than 3 feet away from this guy. He pulls his handgun, tracks my Jack Russell, and fires. Boom! Misses. Thank God. And I'm saying, "Are you an idiot? What's wrong with you?" And I grab my dogs. I take them back inside, and I call the police.
Yeah, so what I just got a text that, so I hadn't been back to work since the July holiday.
Okay,
so I hadn't
my apologies.
Yeah. No.
I
hadn't got briefed on that, but generally, officers will fire on a dog, whether on or off duty, if the dog is being aggressive towards them or others. I don't know what the particulars are in this case because I hadn't reviewed it, but that's in the general sense when and why they will fire on a dog.
Charles, how did you find out he was an off-duty policeman?
Quite frankly, I didn't know. I saw him dressed like in the black uniform, but I thought he was, one of these guys that likes to dress like that. Then when the police came, a sergeant came over and he says, "Anytime there's an officer involved shooting," and I said, "What? You mean he's a cop? I can't believe it."
Yeah, and that's generally what happens. And then we look into it, and if there's some improprieties, then we take whatever the appropriate action will be. Were your dogs on a leash?
No, they ran out.
They ran out of the house. Yeah.
Okay.
And and I got them right away.
Okay.
And they went right back inside. So
yeah,
they were curious. They heard all these people around, and they wanted to know what was going on.
Yeah, I get that, and fortunately he did miss, and everything is okay. But we'll certainly review the situation, and if there's some sort of training or disciplinary action that needs to go along with that, we don't mind taking that.
So, is your dog a husky, or are you just using that as an?
His dog was a husky.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, his dog is a husky.
The dog. Okay. So.
Yeah, and quite frankly, they were telling me, the police officer that came and talked to me, the sergeant says, "Hey, he was injured." I said, the officer? And he goes, "No, the dog." And I said, "Really?" I think he may have shot the dog, because my dogs, they had no blood on their nozzles or nothing. I mean, it couldn't have been more than 3 seconds. I don't see, with all the hair that this husky had, that they could have hurt that dog. Anyway.
Yeah. You're right about the hair.
So we'll look into it. I don't know.
Chief, thank you. And again, I apologize. I thought maybe you had been informed. I didn't mean to cause a ruckus.
No, you didn't. No apology needed. We'll look into it. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Johnny, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chief Lago.
Hey,
I want to know about a law. I go into American Bank, and they got a sign in there. Take your sunglasses off, your hat, I wear my Stetson. Disguise. I was at HEB over at Saratoga, and there were some of them Muslim people wearing them sheaths across their face in the store, about 4 of them. Look like there'll be a law. They can't go in them stores like that. Look like bandits. People bought us 9/11.
I don't know about their house rules, but we don't have any state laws or city ordinances governing that.
But you go in the bank, they make you take your hat off.
They do?
Yeah.
They do?
A lot of times, now that's their rule. That's not a law. It's not a city ordinance. That's their rule. And a lot of times they'll get some advice from security experts that, in the event something happens, their video cameras can get a good shot of the people.
It just gets us, we got to go by the rules, and them foreigners that come over, they don't go by no rules.
Well, you can choose the bank at a place that you like the rule.
It's like no shoes, no shirt, no service.
Yeah.
Not the same thing.
Yeah, they just want to make sure that they get good shots of people on their video cameras.
All right. I appreciate the call.
Thank you.
I think 560-5589. 560-KKTX. Okay. We were talking about the July 4th numbers.
Yeah.
And what did you say? We had double the DUI arrests?
Last year we had, I think, 15 DWI arrests during the same period. this year, we still trying to focus hard on those types of infractions, and we had nearly 30, so 28.
Are we drinking more because we're doing better? We're celebrating?
I don't know if we're drinking any more. And we joke, not joke, but we talk about I don't know where the bottom is. The harder we focus, the more DWI arrests we can make, I think.
Yeah, but I think you're going to, I think you can hold out.
Hold out?
Yeah, just keep on handing out those.
We're going to keep doing it.
Okay. All right. More with the chief and City Councilman Mark Scott if he wants to engage. And Bill has a question for Mark.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you what. We'll let him ask it. Or I'm running up against the bottom. All right. Bill, hold on. We'll get you up next. News Radio 1360 KKTX. City Councilman Mark Scott in the box with Chief Floyd Simpson and on the KKTX hotline. Bill, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning.
Yes, sir. Mine's for Mr. Scott.
Yes, sir.
I doubt that he can do much, but I've been trying to talk to people about this water release.
Oh, did you?
They're
Somebody emailed
the
us.
lake to 60%.
Right. Nope.
But we can't put back that water.
Right.
We can't. I talked to the mayor's office about 4 times. I've talked to everybody in the water department.
Sir, can I just give you a little bad news here? That's not a city problem. That's not anything the city can do anything about. When they built that, they had to make when they built Choke Canyon, they had to make an agreement, and it was done through the state. They can't, just decide, okay, we're going to stop doing that.
And I hear what he's saying.
We've talked about this for 20 years.
And I have worked on it for 10 years. And you're right, I've been unsuccessful. I thought about that maybe yesterday or maybe this morning coming in, that I have tried several times to get those releases amended and have been unsuccessful. And I hear what you're saying. So you kind of wake up one day and say, well, okay, so if we leave the lakes at 40%, then we don't have to do the releases like we did at 41% or 39 compared to 41. I hear that, and we have as yet been unsuccessful. It's a bureaucratic morass to even have the conversation with amending those releases. And so I hear you. I agree.
That's where I've drawn the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I talked to both our state representatives, and they said it was the mayor's problem.
No.
The mayor says it's the state's deal. A lady wrote an article in the paper saying that we agreed to this in 95, but it ended in 2001, the agreement.
Yeah, the agreement did not end.
No, the agreement.
Water.
Yeah, the agreement did not end. So there is an agreement in place. It was tied to the original when we tried to go build another lake. They said you can build a lake, but you got to make sure a certain amount of water takes care of the little fishies down in the bay. And we said, oh, okay. We did get amended. We have had some success 10 or 15 years ago.
We didn't have any input on that.
They told us.
It was Carlos Truon and the Sierra Club. Right. And I don't know which state representatives you talked to. I don't think you talked to Todd Hunter, because Todd and I have talked about this before, and he knows it's not a city problem.
I talked to Abel's office, and
you talked to Abel's office. You didn't talk to Abel.
I can't. You got to go through them to get to him.
Well, they are very inexperienced, and they have no idea, and they're just going to tell you, much like the Chamber of Commerce does, well, that's a city problem. You need to call the EDC, and they'll take care of that. It's a state problem, and there's nothing you can do about it, because nobody is going to face the greenies over the water releases. Nobody is willing to do that.
Two things. One, if you give Sam your email address, I'll get you a process how one would amend the return flow agreement. Two, we've even tried such things as we have that effluent line that comes out of Allison treatment plant. We said, well, what if we go put that effluent in the right places? Instead of, if it does twice as much good, can we take a gallon of the release out? And they went, hey, let's go try that. We spent years studying that. And then the federal government decides one day that, that 10 parts per billion of ammonia is bad, so it's got to be 5, and so we had to shut down that project, although it did seem to help the Nueces Bay. The second thing we did, we said, okay, what if we pulse this water at certain times of year, and we'll put a pipeline in, and we'll create a canal straight to the special area that helps the fishies. Can you give us a break? And they said, why don't you go put that in? Let's look at it. So we put that in, and they went, yeah, we're not going to make those changes. So we have gone, we have spent money. We tried different things. We've said, look, let us show you. Because the theory is, okay, we got to release 10 gallons. But if we release it in the right place and it does twice as much good, can we only release 5 gallons? And even that doesn't seem to resonate. But so anyhow, we're trying. I have tried. I've beat my head against the wall almost to the point of insanity. But if you send me an email, Sam will get your email address, I'll get somebody to explain to you what process you have to go through to amend that release. Yeah, I know.
What?
I have beat myself.
He's not making up rules as we go along here.
I've tried. And you're right, I've tried and failed.
Yeah, it just hit me that Memorial, the other 4th of July, all started because the British were overtaxing us, and we said, to hell with it, threw their tea in the bay, and stood up to them. Here, we can finally do the same thing. They can't send you to jail. They may fine you, but we got money we can pay.
The city,
we cannot replace water.
That's easy for you to say, but the city is not going to sit still, and especially with the close ties the ecologists have with most of city staff, the mayor, and council. That's just not going to happen. They're not going to sit there and go, well, we'll pay the fine because we're not releasing the water. There's just no way for them to do that.
All right, well.
But send me that email, and let's both visit via email about how one goes about the process of amending that order. It's called the agreed order.
All right. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it. This has been going on for such a long time. One of the Mark Kreider. And I used to talk about this.
Oh, really?
A long time ago. Yeah. And it was about replenishing the fresh water because you don't get credit for rain. You don't get, which we never get, you don't get credit for the effluent. And if Bill thinks that that's crazy, here's what is really crazy. We decided that we would irrigate and keep green some of our parks, city parks. One of the parks we were going to use effluent on was Cole Park, right down by the bayfront. So TECQ comes back to the city and says, no, you can't use that. That effluent will go into the bay. It's not safe for the bay. Somebody had to remind those clowns that we are pumping effluent directly into the bays and estuaries.
And we do get some credit.
And we're getting some credit for that. All right.
Yeah.
But that's how tenuous this whole dealing with bureaucracies gets. Mark has got a problem with his dogs. And the reason I bring this up is because it just reminded me. And I don't want to bring the dog trainer up.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. The name.
I got you.
But I was doing some stuff going on vacation, and I took a small Rottweiler that I had to this guy.
I was things a small Rottweiler.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
they usually mean huge.
He was
they call him tiny.
Yeah,
he was a puppy.
Okay,
and I was trying to replace a hole in my heart with another dog, thinking I could. Okay, but when I got the dog back, there were some things that he did that I found very suspicious. Like the dog would cringe when you put your hand out. And I am not a dog trainer, but I know that if a dog cringes when you reach out to touch him, somebody has mistreated him and whacked him.
Yep.
Okay. And he ended up attacking my wife. I loaded my pickup up, and I was leaving town. I got out of town maybe a day before he attacked her. Mark's got a lab.
Yep.
Labs are not known for being aggressive.
Yep.
Right.
It's doing the same thing from the same trainer and will threaten you now with a growl. So I thought because you got a really good guy, he's a retired Michigan state trooper who is volunteering to train your dogs.
Yeah, one of the best I've ever seen at training dogs, and he trains our dogs, and he's always interested in projects. And so what I want to do is connect Mark and
I need to come whisper at my dog.
Together. Yeah, I call him a dog whisperer.
Dog whisperer. Yeah.
But I think, Jim, you're right. That's either forced behavior or he learned it somehow. Either he was forced to retreat and feels like he's backed into a corner and has to protect himself, or he's learned how to be aggressive some sort of way.
It's a weird deal. He's a lab. I never heard of this, and we've talked to the vets, and they go, no, that's not true. Then we thought maybe he was hurt because they say if a dog's
no, that's not
hurt,
true. What?
Yeah.
He just said, I said we have this lab, and he's got aggressive behavior, and I go, man, I've just never heard of a Labrador with aggressive behavior.
Right.
So then they said, well, he's probably got an injury or he's sick. Well, we took him over. They ran the test. No injury, no sickness. So there's something else going on. And he's registered. He's a pure blood, and it could have been the genes could have snapped somewhere along the line.
I don't think so. I told you.
Yeah, I know.
I warned you.
Whatever it is, I got to get it fixed because he's a great dog and he's a good hunting dog. And when he's on and when he's happy, like in the mornings, he just wants to be pet. He wants to love on you. And then, about 10 o'clock, man, if you walk by and you got too close to him, he'll growl and snap at you.
Like our dogs, you can, they're around kids on displays and that, and kids jump on their backs. And, when that trainer tells them, okie dokie, time to go to work.
Boom.
Oh, my God.
But there are two commands, right?
Yeah.
One command is for the dogs to get the dog's attention. He knows we are about to start work, and then the next command is for the aggressive behavior.
Yes, and boy, when they get aggressive, they're aggressive, but they're working, and they can shut it off in an instant. And this guy I just can't think of his name right now, but he's very good at what he does, and we'll try to put you guys together.
Okay.
Yeah, and on the dog story that we just talked about, where So the story that my people are telling me by way of email and text is that, the little dog was not the dog. It was the medium-sized dog.
It was Jack Russell.
And it wasn't the Jack Russell. It was other dog that he mentioned. And that, the dog was aggressive and actually bit the off-duty officer's dog and caused an injury. And so that's how all of that stuff went down. Of course, those are the two sides of the story, and I wasn't there, so we'll get
to the bottom of it.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of it. But the bottom line is, if the officer, in his view, felt like that, the aggressive behavior was that he's walking his dog on a leash down the street.
But one guy gets carried again, which reminded me, by the way, check it out. Got my concealed handgun license.
Yeah.
Oh, now I'm gonna carry my gun.
All right, News Radio 1360. KKTX. Chief Floyd Simpson in the box and City Councilman Mark Scott. Let me just quickly go over what's coming up in the council agenda today. Maybe a conclusion to the or solution to the Columbus ships. I almost said Obama ships. The Columbus ship problem.
Staff's going to recommend we'll call the final resolution to the Columbus ships.
We're going to keep one.
We're going to keep one and let the Columbus Ship Association continue to try to rehab it.
Take the others apart and use the parts.
And sell to the public what can be sold and demolish what's left. And then repurpose that area of the museum. By the way, we also, and you mentioned, I'm jumping in, you talked about the project with the Downtown Association. We also have an agreement, which is kind of interesting, with the GBRA, the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority. That's another water system between us and the Colorado River. Our pipeline kind of jumps them, and we're entering into an agreement with them to develop some water supplies in their area. So it's just, this is another example of us kind of going outside of our system to look for opportunities to acquire water. Probably a 20,000 acre foot, they call it an off-channel reservoir that we could develop in the future.
And the city officials are asking people about their vision for heirs.
Yeah, the vision for heirs. Well, we're working on a 2014 projects. You know, we did, we committed years ago to come to the public every 2 years with about a $55 million no tax increase list of street projects. And this is on that list. And so what we did 2 years ago said, look, you know, we vote on these things, but it takes for years for them to get done because we vote, it passes, we hire the engineers, that takes a year, blah, blah, blah. And so we have pre-designed the projects as much as we can on 2014. And so that's what happens on this Air Street project is they've got a design, they want to show it to the public, and just get some input.
Yeah, but it's only Air Street between Alameda and Ocean Drive.
Yeah, it's not far. Right.
And there's a lot of work going on there now.
Well, there's a lot of work on Alameda between Ayers going towards Louisiana.
When is that?
The big one's going to be Staples, huh?
When is that thing going to be done on? I guess I need to talk to Dan Biles.
I'll make it up. What
shoreline
question?
thing.
Oh, yeah, you need to talk to Dan. I got the answer. I think it's supposed to be done into this year, but if you drive down there today, you'd go, really, Mark? Really? That's when it is?
The end of the year?
Yeah, I think that's right.
There's some pretty deep, but...
Well, the utility work's a big part, and that's what you don't see. And
but
so once they get the utility work, it goes pretty fast.
But if you're, driving, west on...
North on
Shoreline,
right.
And you look over and you go, wow, look at all that improvement stuff.
Yeah, you can see some of those little turn lanes.
Let me get to a caller here. Doug, good morning. Welcome to Lago in the Morning.
Good morning. Hey, Mark, do they float, the boats?
One of them
does. The other two will never float again.
See, I was thinking about maybe taking them offshore and sinking them, using for diving and a possibly reef.
Yeah, the two that have been out of the water are never going to see the water again. And there's some pictures, and I can send it to Jim. He can post it, but they're done.
You couldn't get them unless you put them on a barge and took them out there.
And we had somebody interested in taking them somewhere else, and they came to the conclusion that you couldn't get them on a barge. They would fall apart as you were moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, my other thought was getting a hold of Kingsville and using it for target practice for the pilots out there.
Well,
again, when you went to pick them up, they would just self-destruct. Yeah.
All right, Doug. Thanks.
Thanks, Doug.
All right. We're I don't know where all the time went this morning, but we're drawing to a close.
Yeah,
you got a meeting coming up Saturday.
Yeah, out on the island at Zahn and 361. We have a temporary police substation out there. So this weekend on Saturday, fire department, of course, we'll be there to take inventory of personal property and etch VIN numbers on stuff and driver's license numbers on property. In the event it's stolen, we can recover it. Child safety seats. So we'll be doing things like that, trying to let the public know that this substation is there. And then finally, if you're in the 800 block of Flower Bluff Drive, we're working what seems to be an active shooter call. We don't feel like there's any shots fired, but there is a guy out there with a weapon, and the officers are quickly closing off the area. So if you're in that area,
800 block,
be careful. 800 block of Flower Bluff.
All right.
So
Flower Bluff Drive.
Flower Bluff Drive, yeah. So if you're in that area, be careful.
Chief, thank you for the time. I appreciate it very much. Mark, always good to see you. Thank you. And you have yourself a Bluebell Country Day.